name is Logan Westro.
And I'm Robert Johnson. Yes, a whole lot of details. It's our first winter storm of 2019 in the new year, already impacting millions of Americans. We started snowing in central Pennsylvania earlier this afternoon, and now we'll continue to the overnight hours. Of course, we'll have all the details. But because of this major winter storm, Governor Tom Wolf, governor of the state of Pennsylvania, has issued a state of emergency. And what this does is it limits a lot of travel for many Americans in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and it's not just locally in central Pennsylvania. We have a lot of interstate coverage that has been affected by this. And we're going to continue to see that throughout the overnight hours, especially as the precipitation will increase in intensity. And that's going to last until the morning hours on Sunday with the storm, though we are still expecting quite a big travel delay, especially as these temperatures behind the system are going to be very cold. So it's not going to really be good in terms of melting the precipitation on the roadways.
Definitely. And with the state of emergency, that also means that a lot of commercial vehicles will not be able to operate on major interstates. Some of those restrictions are being backed away as of this hour, but still make sure you watch out if you are stepping outside. Although the best route is to just stay at home. Those speed restrictions in many places, as we talked about earlier, Logan, off camera, 45 miles per hour. And if you're not going that route, if you're not going that speed limit, the fines are insane. $250 to even almost as
$1,000. Yes. So be careful as you are on the roadways. Take it slow. Plan accordingly, and just be careful because one accident, just you never know what happens.
That's all it takes. We're talking earlier about safety tips, you and I, just off camera, and you mentioned a great point of don't tailgate, just keep your distance.
Exactly.
Go slow. It is hard to try to travel in these kind of conditions, especially if you have a lower lane car and then the snow is compacting, so that makes it even tougher on those tires, especially if they're not built for the snow. So you really want to take it easy out there.
And PennDOT even recommends that if you are behind a snowplow, you need to be at least 6 car lengths behind. That way it allows for the plow to get through and allow for the snow removal process to occur, and then that way you can follow behind and not get stuck in more snow.
Definitely. Another thing to keep in mind is that tomorrow is Sunday, so a lot of people are going to their Sunday morning services, and many of those are being canceled in central Pennsylvania as well as in western Pennsylvania, especially areas north of Pittsburgh. So make sure you check with your local parish, your local church to see if service is still on or if it is simply delayed to a later hour tomorrow morning.
And also to tune into your local news stations as well. They'll have more closings on anything that is occurring for tomorrow, including churches and everything. So just be sure to check up on that in the morning hours and plan your day ahead.
And we have a whole lot to discuss here. We are just getting started. We're going to throw it over to Dan Guzman, who is going to be giving us the latest information on our current conditions with the storm, seeing all of what's happening across the area. Dan, what can you tell us?
Yes, thank you, Rob. So looking outside right now, we can see it's very dark and the snow has already begun to fall. And we can see the temperature has now decreased to about 28 degrees. Feels like 22 degrees with visibility at about 1 mile, with winds increasing slowly at about 6 miles per hour. So now looking at temperatures across the entire state, you can see they're mostly lower to the north, about 22 degrees up here in Erie, 26 here in Bradford. And you can see the temperatures are a little bit warmer to the south, 37 degrees in Philly and 31 degrees in Harrisburg.
I think I have to do it then.
So now when we zoom out, we can see much colder temperatures up here in the northeast, upstate New York, Vermont. You can see -5 degrees there. And that is going to do nothing but help the amount of snowfall that ends up falling overnight for those areas. So now looking at the current radar, we can see that snow has now begun to fall across most of the state. And taking a look here at Pittsburgh, I just want to talk for a sec. This whole triangle down the bottom area of Pennsylvania right here is rain. And you can see these pink colors around here. Now those indicate a wintry mix, which is mostly freezing rain and sleet, because the temperatures aren't quite cold enough to have full snow falling, but they're not warm enough to have only rain falling. So I will take a look at that in a little more detail in a minute. Looking over here at State College, we can see some medium color blue, so that indicates some light to medium precipitation right now. And you can see somewhere over here around Allentown, the southeast of Pennsylvania, has no precipitation right now. You can see here in New Jersey, parts of Long Island are still not in the snow yet. And lastly, the thing that I wanted to talk about was how the different types of precipitation form in weather systems like this. So if you take a profile of the atmosphere, you can see the temperature as you go up with height. So normally temperature decreases with height. So looking here at this graph, you can see that precipitation mostly starts as snow all the way up here in the atmosphere. However, as it's falling, the air beneath it could be warmer, and the snow will then begin to melt and fall as rain. Then, depending on how thick this layer of warm air is, it will determine if freezing rain falls over here or if sleet falls right over here. And then looking at the last part of this graph, snow will only fall if the entire column of air beneath the precipitation is below 32 degrees. And with that, now back to you, Rob.
All right, thank you so much, Dan, for that update. You'll notice on Dan's map, Logan, that southeastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Montgomery County, Bucks County, seeing a whole lot of clouds, but definitely not a whole lot of snow. And this is mainly going to be a rain event for them, a lot of rain for the Harrisburg area, and a lot of rain for especially the far extreme southwestern portion of Pittsburgh as well.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why with that commercial vehicle ban, that some of the highways are, in effect with that, and some of them are not, especially I-95 in Philadelphia. We aren't seeing that banned is because we have warmer conditions there, and that's allowing for more of a rain event there. So it just really depends on where in Pennsylvania you are with the travel. So some of the highways you need to be careful on, especially as if you are traveling from the southeast, someplace up north where you see some more snow.
A great time to just sit back at home. We have our coffee here in the studio hiding away. I'll put that off the desk that we don't see that. But, we're staying warm here in the studio. We want you to stay warm at home as well.
Exactly.
If you're not familiar with Harris City, it is east of Pittsburgh, and their crews are doing something remarkable, as many crews across Pennsylvania are doing. They are sleeping at the maintenance facility overnight, making sure that they can take shifts and get out on the roads and get out with their plows and make sure that they can keep the community safe and those roads clear and free. They're not going home. They're staying at the facility all until this storm is over. So we thank all of our community across Pennsylvania for really working so hard throughout this storm and working overnight to make sure that everyone stays safe.
Exactly. Yeah, we really do appreciate all the hard work that goes out there. Not everybody that's out there in the storm, with power outages, the electricians out there that have to go out there and fix these telephone wires that come down, especially in parts where the ice storm is really going to occur down towards the south and east, where we're seeing more of a wintry mix of precipitation there instead of just all snow up towards the north. Also, we want to give some tips as if you do have to start shoveling some snow tonight, a big concern, and that's always a big topic, especially with big winter storms like this. One tip I have is to be careful when you are shoveling outside because especially if you haven't had a whole lot of exercise in the past few weeks or so, there's a whole risk out there with cardiovascular health and everything. So just be careful. Take many breaks and drink a lot of water.
Especially if you're in the vicinity that's getting a whole lot of snow, what a great idea to do is to shovel in shifts. You'll hear us say that so many times throughout this broadcast. So even though you might just want to save it all the way until the end, do a little bit now and a little bit later. That way there's less snow that you have to shovel all in one period of time. The beginning of the system, and Grant will talk about this more a little bit later on in our broadcast, but the beginning of the system, the snow will be more fluffy and light and powdery, but toward the end, it will be a little bit denser as well, right, Logan?
Exactly. So make sure you do take care of yourself and also take care of your driveways as you do prepare for the storm. Now we're going to send it up to Casey Rigner, who's up in the radio booth, and she's going to give us our social media update for us. Casey?
Thanks, Rob and Logan. I have some great tweets for you guys to give you a little update with what's going on, the social media aspects of things. This first one is quite interesting from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. It reads, with an intense winter storm expected to bring heavy snow, high winds, sleet, and freezing rain across the state, a commercial vehicle ban will be in place between noon today and tomorrow at noon on Sunday on all interstates and turnpikes except for I-95. And then there's a link right here if you want more information about this. And they have a map for you showing what roads you can and cannot use. I'm looking at this next one, just trying to brighten the mood a little bit. Who doesn't love a good tweet about a dog? Shamefully, though, this dog has more Twitter followers than me. So this is Timmy the Pampered Pug. We're all tucked in with the snackies for the storm. I think this person might be near Canada, if not northern Pennsylvania, but here he is enjoying that snow outside. Let's see without my camera. He's enjoying the snow, unlike most of us probably. And then this next one, this was earlier today. This was right about before noon from Northeast Weather outside of in-state college, excuse me. I don't know if you can see it too well, but the snow is coming down quite heavily outside. Roadways are slick currently they have been for a good majority of the day today. And then this next tweet, another funny one. I'm trying to bring humor into this because even though the weather can put a damper on our plans from time to time, it's always important to have fun with it. So this is from Danielle Watts. They had a fun time snow plowing outside. This person is wearing a dinosaur Halloween costume while snow plowing the sidewalks. So it's always important to make the best out of things given the circumstances, even though we can't help it from time to time. This is one that I found quite interesting. Justin Flaw in Fort Wayne, Indiana, put his dad's case of beer outside for a couple of hours, had some snow accumulation on there. So if you want to save on electric a little bit, might be a good idea if it's snowing to put your case of beer outside for a little bit and let the snow do its job. And I'm sure it will pay off for you in the end. And from the Weather Channel, this was also a tweet from earlier, so these amounts have changed a little bit. They refer to this storm as Winter Storm Harper. So if you look over in Cedar Ridge, Colorado, almost 26 inches of snow was dumped over there. These purplish areas are where the most snow accumulation occurred. I'm from the Chicagoland area, so at home, we did see 10 inches of snow. We have 15 up in Heron Lake. And as I mentioned, these snow totals will change and have changed. This tweet was from about 2 o'clock earlier today. And then this is from some professors in our department from PSU Radar Meteorology. These are just some cool up-close footage of what some of these snow crystals look like. It's cool to get a glimpse of them in HD quality because we don't get to see that quite often. There's a few of them. Here's some different shape ones. And then we all, before we did this live broadcast, we all went downtown to grab some pizza. And this from Jasmine Siddons, snow scaring away some of the customers, and businesses downtown are closing for the night. So if you're planning on heading out, maybe it would be a good idea to stay indoors. We actually may have seen an intoxicated young adult slip and fall on the sidewalks while we were out there. So if you are traveling, definitely be careful. This pretty much sums it up. It's cold, it's snowy. No one wants to be outside this evening or tomorrow morning. Another tweet from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, just some emergency kit guidelines, some things to think of. So if you were able to go to the grocery store and stock up for the weekend, that way you don't have to leave your house or apartment, definitely be a good idea. Just have some things around the house just in case the power goes out. You want to have flashlights, water, of course, some food. Definitely keep blankets nearby too, just in case, because we will get really cold here next week. We have an Arctic plunge coming. So, and then I just want to wrap this up. One last tweet from the National Weather Service and State College. It reads, snow continues to overspread central Pennsylvania. Mild air is now expected to work a little bit farther northward. So snow accumulations may go down a little bit, but we don't want to rule anything out. If you look in State College, they still have 8 to 12 inches, but this was another tweet from earlier today, so this has changed as well. Grant Lashot, our future weather forecaster, will have more on that in a little bit later in the program, but for now, I'm going to send it back to Rob and Logan in the studio.
Hey, thank you so much, Casey, for that update. We really appreciate seeing you guys' posts on social media. It really helps us to see what is going on out there, and also see that you're having some fun too out in the snow as well.
Oh, definitely. It's so fun to see all of those pictures and even videos that people are sending in. Please tweet us your pictures and your videos on Twitter at PSU Weather. We love to check them all out.
Yes.
Just a couple notes for you for some travel conditions. So Amtrak, some of those routes are out. If you plan on taking the leg from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg that goes through Philadelphia and New York, that has been canceled for tomorrow. That includes the 42 and 43 Pennsylvania trains, again, from Pittsburgh through Harrisburg through Philadelphia, and then traveling into New York as well, Logan.
Also with cancellations and accidents right now, we also just got a report in, this is in Berks County in Lancaster and Lebanon. There's been an accident reported on I-76 between Reading and Lebanon and Lancaster. This is between the mileposts of 275 and 275.8, actually. And it's on the westbound direction. So lanes affected with this is the shoulder. So just be careful if you are traveling on that road. Be sure to just avoid that accident and kind of move off to the side and pass with care.
And also another note for you, bringing it back closer to home, State College, where we are here at Penn State, is currently under a snow emergency. So what that typically means is that you cannot park in most places on campus, and then even downtown especially. Make sure that you're not in any of those zones, because you will face high ticketing, even possibly some towing as well if you are not parked in the correct position. So pretty much just stay off the roads and don't park much of anywhere. In addition to that, you want to make sure that if you are living in the borough of State College, that the law currently here is that your sidewalks need to be cleared 24 hours after a snowstorm. So once the snow ends, once the storm is over, within 24 hours, your pathway, your sidewalk must be clear.
Yes, and also with going with the parking lots here on campus, especially on campus, Penn State sent out an email a few days ago saying that if you're not in a certain lot, that you needed to remove your car, otherwise you will be subject to fines. Also, it makes it very hard for them to go through and plow some of these parking lots. So just be careful of that, and just want to give you a heads up if you do plan to have a car here on campus, and just make sure you park your car someplace else so they can get to it.
Definitely. And remember, we want to talk about this all throughout the broadcast here. Slow down if you are
Yes.
going out. There's always this urge or this tendency to drive so fast, but keep the speed limit so much lower. Take your time if you do need to go out. But of course, staying home is the best opportunity possible. Stay home and send us your snow pics, and then maybe we'll share them with you right here on our Twitter page or on our Facebook page and share with all of you. We also want to keep you posted on what's happening after this storm, the rest of this storm, and even moving forward. That's where we find our very own Grant Lashot. He's going to give us the future conditions of what we can expect and tell us how we can best prepare moving forward. Grant, what's the latest details from the Penn State Weather Center?
Thanks, Logan and Rob. Well, as we go into tonight and into early tomorrow morning, we really have three main headlines that we have to keep focus on. Of course, our heaviest period of snow will be through midnight. So as we get into the overnight, as we start getting dark outside, we're going to see those snowfall rates pick up, and that's where we're going to receive the majority of our snow. Right around midnight, most of central Pennsylvania will transition into ice and even portions of rain as we get further into the night. And then, of course, that's going to stump our snowfall accumulation rates. It's going to make it very messy to travel out there, probably very near impossible at certain points as that ice and as that rain mixes with the snow already on the ground and the temperature keeps decreasing. And of course, right here in central Pennsylvania, that snow will end right around daylight here in central Pennsylvania. And of course, a little bit earlier than daylight if you're more west, and a little bit after daylight, mid-morning if you're further east. So as we look at one model for snowfall accumulation rates, this is approximately 9 p.m. tonight. We can see that those are rates that are already included. So I think we have about an inch to an inch and a half already on the ground here in State College. And outside of Johnstown, you can see the State College is second place right here for accumulation. We have about an inch to an inch and a half for the majority of the state. Of course, with our regions further south, both southwest and southeast, receiving little snow because of the warmer temperatures. So as we progress into the overnight, into early to mid-morning tomorrow morning, you can see we pick up a nice about 8.6 inches here in State College and up to 13.8 up here in Bradford. Of course, this is one model, and we're going to transition and see what another model says. So as we transition over to the other model, you can see that by tonight, it has about 3 inches here in State College, 3 inches in Du Bois, 2 in Bradford. So in terms of what we're seeing, it has us picking up a little bit more snow as we go into the overnight. And as we look over into tomorrow morning, it only has us picking about 7 inches up here in State College, 11 in Bradford, 11 in Franklin. So of course, those totals being a bit higher up northward as the temperatures look to remain below freezing for longer than they would in central Pennsylvania. Of course, southern Pennsylvania really receiving less minimal snow due to it being warmer down there. So as we look into our future weather for our first model, you can see that into 11 o'clock hour tonight is going to remain snow for much of the central and northern portions of the state. Of course, rain creeping down here in Pittsburgh and heavy rain creeping down here in Philadelphia and Harrisburg. As we transition into the night, you can see right around 3:30 in the morning, we're going to have that ice and rain starting to mix in the central portions of the state. Of course, remaining all snow up here in northern Pennsylvania, and down here, of course, remaining rain, really making it a mess down there from the snow they received earlier tonight. As we transition into early tomorrow morning, you can see that snow beginning to clear out from west to east. And of course, with those clearing skies, those temperatures are going to begin to drop with that snow on the ground. So as we go off into by 5:30 hour tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, or Sunday afternoon, we can see that the majority of the state is clear with some lingering snow out near Pittsburgh. So let's compare this to another model. As you can see, in terms of agreement, we're going to have that snow linger in through the 11 and through 12 o'clock hour into tonight, with that ice and some rain mixing in for central portions of the state. Of course, it being a real huge mess of rain down in the southeastern portion of the state, and Pittsburgh over here, remaining right on that line between rain and snow. It's going to be messy out there, and that transition, of course, occurring in the middle of the night. And as we progress off into the morning, you can see that, again, we're going to have a nice clearing from west to east, and those winds will come out of the north and bring those nice colder temperatures. So what's going to be the influencing factor here for whether we see a lot of rain or a lot of snow or ice in between? Well, we got to look at the 850 millibar level, which is a pressure level that's approximately a mile above the surface. And those temperatures determine whether we're going to see snow or that snow is going to melt and turn into rain or ice or to other forms of precipitation. So as you can see right now, or at the 9 o'clock hour tonight, we have these blues indicating colder temperatures at the 850 millibar level. And of course, those yellows corresponding to warmer temperatures down in Pittsburgh, which we weren't surprised to see some rain down there. And as we transition into the overnight, you can see those warm temperatures poke upward from the south and get all the way up into Scranton, and it's going to mix and make it warm, the layer warmer. So that's why we're going to see that ice and that rain possibility grow into the night. But of course, it remaining cooler up here. And then, of course, as we get into Sunday night and into early Monday, those temperatures at the 850 millibar level plummet and make those temperatures really cold. So what are we thinking in terms of total accumulation? Here's the official Campus Weather Service forecast for snowfall accumulation. As you can see, State College is right in the 6 to 12 inches zone. And upstate, 14 to 18, where we're expecting those temperatures to remain cooler, and a big swath of 10 to 14 across the middle of the state. And of course, our lower portions being the southwest corner of the state and the southeast portion of the state, where those temperatures are going to stay warmer for longer, and we're not expecting as much snow to fall and more in terms of rain. Back over now to Rob and Logan to give us the rest.
Thank you very much, Grant. You hit the nail on the head. If you've been following along with us, you'll remember that our initial prediction was 10 to 14 inches of snow because of a warm layer of air up above, aloft in the atmosphere. We've cut those snow totals a bit, so 6 to 10 inches here for the State College area, Logan.
Yeah, and with that, we're talking still about the power outages that we could see with this precipitation, since we are looking more towards like a mixing event. I'm looking at the Penn Power Center, their website, or West Penn Power, I'm sorry. Their service affects about 2 million people. Right now, their website is just showing about 10 people being impacted, which is actually really good and surprising. If we take a look at some of the outages, they're mostly north of State College, only about 5 to 10 people being affected with this, which is great news. We hope to keep it that way.
Oh, yes.
We like to have lights on in our houses and keep warm too, because with the cold weather that we're having, you definitely want to make sure you're running the heat.
Definitely. And if you want to be inside because you're cold, that also means your pets want to be inside because they're cold. So make sure that you bring your furry loved ones inside as well. Don't leave them outside. Yes, they have an extra coating to them, unlike us, but if you're cold, that means they are cold as well. So make sure you bring them in with you too and have them in bed with you tonight for a dog or a cat or whatever's your fancy.
Yeah, and even if you're taking them outside too, make sure their paws are protected. You don't leave them outside too long because that concrete and pavement can be very, very cold, especially with the ice and stuff, and they can slip and fall.
Right.
It's just not a good situation.
Just like Grant was talking about, it's going to get really cold really quickly.
Yep.
I mean, things are going to freeze over very fast.
Exactly, yeah. So make sure you do take those precautions. And I know my dog has a little coat on her, so she'll be good to go if she's outside. But so just be careful if you are taking your pets outside, and just be sure to bring them inside. That way they stay warm throughout this snowstorm.
Definitely. And we have a lot more to talk about in terms of the cold and the Arctic plunge that's coming to the area, right, Logan?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be very cold. We haven't really seen temperatures like this in quite a while. I don't know if I'm ready for it, Rob.
I don't know either. We
might need more coffee.
We just might need more coffee to stay warm out there because it is going to get really cold really fast. We have a lot to talk about in terms of that, and even how to stay warm during this event too. Right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, just even walking outside for a short period of time, you can freeze, and the effects with that can be quite serious. And some people, don't always think about that, but you have to be very careful, especially with the wind chills that we're going to be seeing this weekend.
That's right. Your head, your fingers, your toes. You might want an extra layer of socks on there as well, just to make sure that you stay warm, because that is where you have the most heat loss in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some people will actually put on 2 to 3 layers of pants. I've actually heard that. So
there
I
you
need to
go.
do that.
There you go. There's a saying, some truckers, people, they're out all hours of the night. They will put Vaseline, true story. They'll put Vaseline on their feet and then socks on, because then it retains heat a little better than just one layer of socks. So the more you know.
The things you learn.
That's right. We have a lot more to talk about with this Arctic plunge coming in. That's where we bring in our very own Salix Iverson. Salix.
Thanks, Rob. You guys really named it well. Arctic plunge is what we should be expecting with this flash freeze and those temperatures plummeting down. A rapid temperature drop late into Sunday night with heavy wind gusts to be expected into Monday. That will lead way to some dangerous wind chills and even into some dangerous driving conditions. So bottom line, avoid travel Sunday night into Monday because of those freezing roads and those high wind chills. Now, if we're looking at our Sunday planner for tomorrow, planning out your day, trying to figure out what you should do and how to prepare for that, whether it is putting on those 3 layers for your pants. 8 a.m., if you're heading out to any services that have not been canceled, 23 degrees with some of that lingering snow still affecting our area. However, clearing out by 2 p.m. tomorrow, mostly cloudy. However, you can see those temperatures beginning to drop at 17 degrees and even dropping farther down around 8 p.m. with overcast skies and 10 degrees. Now moving towards Monday, that's when our temperatures really begin to fall. We can see 8 a.m. 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Sun will remain out for most of the day. However, those temperatures will be very cold, very chilly. So I'd say Monday would be a very good day to stay inside, maybe get some work done. Classes are not in session due to Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So very nice day to maybe catch up on some homework or maybe binge a TV show. And then 2 p.m. we can see even 10 degrees. So it's warming up about 8 degrees from that time span before it cools down again overnight, dropping down to 5 degrees. Now, these temperatures do seem pretty cold, but what's even colder are those wind chills. Wind chills expected at 8 a.m., negative 17 degrees, dropping to negative 18 at 11 a.m., rising slightly around 2 p.m. at negative 12 degrees, very cold. So I would not recommend stepping outside because those wind chills will get to you, especially those outer extremities like Rob and Logan were mentioning, creeping its way back up to negative 6 and negative 5 at 5 and 8 p.m. respectively. So very cold day expected on Monday after this large snow system moves through our area. And now back to you, Rob and Logan.
Hey, thanks, Alex. Yeah, Rob, negative 18 for wind chill.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Dress in layers. A lot of people think it's all about the layers, which it is important, but making sure, as we just mentioned, hats, gloves, scarves, the extremities that people don't really think about all that often. I was thinking about this, Logan. The one saving grace with this storm is that it's a weekend storm. So at least not so much in the way of a morning rush hour or an evening rush hour. Most people don't have to go to work anyway. So that's the nice part about
And Monday,
this.
students are off for class.
That's right.
So I have to still go to work in the morning. So I'll be bundling up.
And many of us will
With a
still be
few
here
extra
tracking stuff. So
Exactly.
very
So
true.
we'll see how it goes.
That's right. That's right. A whole lot happening here. And we'll be keeping you posted while our live broadcast ends here on Facebook. Our coverage continues on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. We'll be there keeping you updated. For Dan Guzman, Grant Lashotz, Alex Iverson, Logan Westrope, the entire weather team here, I'm Robert Johnson. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure that you have a safe night out there. Please stay home if you can.
Yes.